Meet insurance agent John. John joined a network to provide more carriers to give his clients better options. John received many contracts from networks, aggregators, and clusters. He had to sign an NDA for most of them. Some contracts are 3, 5, or even 15 years long. And other groups will cost him $5,000, $15,000, or as high as $50,000 to enter into. If John ever decided to leave his group, his network, like many others, would prohibit him from talking to his clients or even contracting with carriers for several years. Every contract seemed to have a gotcha somewhere inside of it. The whole process left John extremely frustrated and confused. John has been in the business for years, so he thought he knew everything he should be asking prospective networks. After extensive research, he chose a network and signed a contract. Unfortunately, John didn't fully understand the contract, and now he's stuck. Robert looked at all the same contracts John did, and after reviewing them with his attorney, chose Horizon Agency Systems. Straightforward, simple, and easy to understand. John's network has a multiple-year vesting schedule, so if he sells his agency before the vesting period matures, he will owe a large percentage to the network. Does John really own his book? Robert does. Placing business has become increasingly complicated and cumbersome for John because he doesn't have binding authority with many of his carriers. He has to submit everything to his network, multiple MGAs and brokers to bind and service the policies. John and his clients are frustrated with the wait times. Robert can bind and service. After onboarding, Robert will have binding authority with most of his carriers. With binding authority and the many carriers he has partnered with, Robert is able to create a far better client experience. Servicing policies for Robert is done directly on the carrier sites, with no more telling the client, "I should have an answer for you soon," for any modification they wish to make. Robert has a great deal of freedom in choosing how he writes insurance and supports his clients and staff. John is still waiting for a quote. Fast forward 10 years. Both are successful and have the same sized book and are ready to sell. John's network is going to take a large portion of the revenue generated by the sale, but Robert chose Horizon, so he keeps all proceeds from the sale. Robert can sell his book at any point, but John's group only allows him to sell back to the network after his long contract has matured. Robert maintains full ownership of his book of business from day one. No vesting schedules, no exit fees on the way out. John is unable to contract with carriers for several years after leaving his network. Robert is happy he did the research in the beginning because Horizon has no non-compete. We believe that nobody owns a client and that independent agents should be independent. If you want to have a no-pressure, open conversation about your options with clusters, aggregators, or networks in general, please reach out to us at www.agency.builders.